So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into the detail. So we're going to touch on horsepower, machinery, tractors without diesel. My name's Tim Burnhope, and my job is to work on new product. And I want to start today by making a slight confession. So in the very hot summer of 1976, I fell in love for the first time. And it was with a beautiful, bright red International Harvester 574. Fabulous, beautiful tractor. And from that day on, I've had the privilege of either driving, working, using, designing, developing machinery. So next year will be my 50th anniversary with falling in love with equipment. But on a more serious note, the last 8 years has been all about finding solutions for net zero product, carbon-free product. So this is what we're going to touch on. A step through time, going from horses to fast tracks, and really start to get into the detail. So let's go down memory lane. Interestingly, we had a carbon-free fuel all those years ago. Good old grass, hay, feeding the horses, great solution. We then moved on to the excitement of steam engines powered by coal, and then petrol paraffin, or TVO, as some of us called it. And then today, we're working with diesel. And we've developed product over all of those years, but sadly, they're not carbon-free. So what fuel will we power farm equipment with in the future? That's the challenge. And we've been spending the last 8 years just trying different things. What works, what doesn't. As engineers, we were quite naive. We believed things that we read on the internet. We believed what we were told. We believed this was the best solution. People said that wouldn't work. But actually, it's now the most exciting time for anybody involved in engineering. This decade will be the most innovative 4 decades. So really, really important. So first, we're going to look quickly at transitional fuels. So how these are fuels that reduce CO2 but don't eliminate it. So you'll hear a lot about biodiesel, HVO. Well, we developed our engines in about 2014 to run on HVO. So we're ready to go. Lots of our customers, especially in construction, have moved across to HVO. But big challenges, they're made from waste oils or fats, or in some cases from palm oil. So there's lots of questions over sustainability. Secondly, we've just talked it, so I'll not get into the detail, but biogas, potential on-farm process, requires methane equipment, but not necessarily available for every farm. And we may have to significantly increase the number of cows we would need to fuel all of the tractors running on methane. So again, we've got to keep doing the maths. The third one is what I call the promised land. Everybody says we're going to get into e-fuels. But lots of people don't know how we make e-fuels. And actually, e-fuels are made from making hydrogen and then taking CO2 from the air, infusing it into the hydrogen to make essentially a carbon-rich tailpipe in terms of, so it becomes very, very expensive to do. The chances are e-fuels will only be used for aviation, sustainable aviation fuel that you've heard of. Lots of other people would like to use it, but the majority will be used, and aircraft flights will probably become a lot more expensive because of it. Now let's get on to the important one, zero carbon fuels. So these are fuels that eliminate CO2. So first of all, we've got electricity. So again, really exciting. We're making for wind, solar, or nuclear. Could be produced on a farm or industrial. And again, they're sadly expensive to store. So lots of people talk about batteries. Electricity is actually the fuel. The battery is the fuel tank. And if you want lots of them, they're quite expensive to store. And really, electricity is not transportable unless it's in a cable. So again, lots of challenges, especially when you're working in construction or agriculture. But let's have a little look at electric, because sometimes people say to us, have you not considered doing electric machines at JCB? And actually, we started with this mini digger you see in the middle box to the right, and we actually won the famous McRobert Award at the Royal Academy of Engineering, pipped the Jaguar I-Pace for the best electric technology at the time, quite a secret. But we've gone on now to make actually 9 different electric products, and we offer 22 different models in our range. We've sold over 35,000 machines, so we're pretty much leaders in our industry worldwide. We sell them right across the world, but they are a hard sell. because they're twice the price. They're good where you've got access to electricity, but sadly many people use a diesel generator to charge them, which kind of defeats the object. So, lots and lots of learning. So this caused us to look at, could we really make electric machines going forward? Now, we have this little electric load all, which is a yard machine used on many farms, equestrian centres, weighs about 5.5 tons. During the day, it would run for about 4 hours, 4-hour runtime. And when I talk about 4 hours, I mean full power. This machine wouldn't really use full power, so you'd probably get 8 hours on a low power. Intermittent use, it would do about 30 kilometres of movement a day. But interesting, I'm going to get you straight into battery technology. So the blue box on the forks is the battery. And what you're going to need is 24 kilowatt hours of battery, which weighs about 240 kilograms. It costs £10,000, so therefore the machine cost is twice as much. Now that's okay for a small machine. It's a bit like a car. It only really works for 2 hours a day. When you start moving from yard machines or cars and using products that are real high power, so let's take a big fast track. This tractor, 10 hours a day, could be doing a 16-hour runtime, continuous use, and this product could actually do 400 kilometres a day. Now just look at what it means to the battery now. So this machine is on full power all day, full power. So what you've now got is you need 1,750 kilowatt hours. You need a battery mass of 17.5 tons. 730,000 pounds worth of batteries. So if this tractor today would cost you maybe 170,000 on a good day, the product's heading towards £1 million. So that's the challenge of using batteries when you're using products all day long. You need lots and lots of batteries. And the challenge is when you're running one of these machines for 16 or 18 hours, you have no time left to charge them. So lots of our construction customers want to double shift products 24 hours a day. You have no time left at all to charge them. So this becomes a real conundrum. Luckily on the fast track, we've always had that deck on the back, so we've got a great place to put a big battery pack in. But obviously we'd have to upgrade the axles and whatever to allow that to work. So all of a sudden you start to challenge the thinking. People also talk about battery swaps. So think about battery swap, one on the machine, one in transport and one being charged. So now you'd need 3 sets of batteries. You can work the cost out yourself. Real challenge. So let's get on to what customers really want. For highly productive machines, they want a mobile fuel. And of course, there's no cables in the field. So we deliver fuel to our machines in our industry. We're not like a car where they drive to a petrol station and refuel. We take the fuel to the machines. And we want maximum uptime because there's a lack of charging time. So electricity is an option. And we started to look at other carbon-free fuels. So we firstly looked at ammonia. It's very attractive, and you can see why. The only downside with ammonia is it's very hazardous. So it reacts with anything that's humid, so eyes, nose, lungs, lots and lots of issues, and you'd have to wear protective equipment to fuel it at any time. So we sort of discounted it. Also, if you ever see an engine running on ammonia, the tailpipe absolutely stinks. It's like rotten eggs when it runs. So again, people said it was possible, and we looked at that. So we end up with a fuel that we never ever thought we'd ever get involved with, this thing called hydrogen. And everybody thinks, oh, hydrogen, are you really going to use hydrogen? So you can see it was pretty much bottom of our list when we started. But we started to realize very quickly to make hydrogen, we're effectively taking water, H2O, and splitting the hydrogen, the H2 from the O. So we're making hydrogen. We can do it using electricity, it can be industrial, but the exciting thing about hydrogen, it can be done locally. So it could even be done on a farm. Stored at high pressure, and the great thing is it's mobile and transportable, just like today. So if you've got hydrogen, we thought we'd better build a hydrogen machine. So when we had the hydrogen, we looked around, and the only way you could make a hydrogen machine was to get a fuel cell, a thing called a fuel cell. So we all looked at Back to the Future and fuel cells and all the exciting things. But I've got a little picture to show you how you make a fuel cell machine. So this is a 20-ton excavator. You leave the tracks at the bottom, the boom and arm, the cab the same. Take the bodywork off, get rid of everything. So the engine, everything that works today, and what you need to do is to create a new electronic hydraulic system, cooling package 3 times the size, hydrogen tanks on their power batteries, a fuel cell on the top, 5 different cooling systems, and we start to build a fuel cell. So the first thing you notice is everything under that bodywork is completely new. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we make around 400 engines a day in our plants for our machinery. 400 engines a day. And interestingly, we would really struggle to find anybody that could give us 400 fuel cells. The other big challenge is we've got these machines running, but they tend not to like dust. They tend not to like big G-forces, big bangs. We need a lot of cooling because they're no good above 60 degrees. Most of our engines run to 130 degrees. So lots of challenges, but we've found that they're just not robust enough for our industry. Nobody would ever say how long would last because we haven't run them for long enough yet. They're too complicated and they're just too expensive. So again, we'd end up with a product probably 4 times the cost of an existing machine. So we presented this to our chairman, Lord Bamford, who's the real leader on this project, and he said, I like a fuel cell and I like what a fuel cell does, but why can't we use an engine to emulate a fuel cell? So what we did, we developed a hydrogen engine. So this is an engine, and lots of people say engines are bad and we should get rid of them, but actually we should get rid of the fossil fuels. It's not the poor piece of metal's fault. It's the fossil fuels we need to get rid of. So we want a zero carbon fuel in and we want clean steam coming out. Matches existing technology, same power, same torque, same performance. Identical operator experience, so the drives in exactly the same way. Fueling's easy and you can service it and maintain it anywhere in a field or at a construction site, anywhere. So let's have a little look at these machines in action.
This is power. Power to move the earth. The power to change the world. This is JCB's hydrogen combustion engine at work. Welcome to the future.
So that's a quick insight. We've been running around 30 machines for over 3 years now, testing them. We've got over 50,000 hours of testing. We've got 25,000 kilometers on the road, and we're really proving that the technology works. So, just to close, what I've showed you today is we've gone from hair power, way back, the first carbon-free fuel, and the exciting prospect for the future that we're still working on to understand how it works is really to power by potentially hydrogen. And what we want to do is to work out how we get renewable energy locally to be able to produce hydrogen, and one day we may, for example, see it working on farms. Thank you.